the recording, and we will call the meeting to order at 10 a.m. I'm getting some major feedback.
Let's see.
It's coming back through somebody's microphone.
Everyone should be muted. Except
Right. Yeah, that sounds,
Mel's not muted. I'm muting him. Mel needs to mute himself.
let's
All
see. There.
All right, you muted.
Nope.
Are you still getting feedback now?
I'm still getting it. Yeah.
Hang on.
There. Let's see. I'm still getting it from somebody. I think it's coming through your laptop, Lenny. That's the only one that's not muted besides myself. There we go. Much better. Okay, so we've called the meeting order at 10 a.m. Let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and roll call. I pledge allegiance to the flag in the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, Board Secretary, would you please do the roll call? And you'll need to unmute for that.
All set?
Yep.
Can you hear us, Mike?
Okay. Dan O'Connor? Dolores?
Yes.
Mike Maturin?
Here.
Pam? Yes. Kathleen?
Yeah.
Roland?
Yeah.
Stephanie?
Yes, here.
Yep, I see her, yeah. Okay.
According to the Open Meetings Act, anybody on digital has to announce their name and where they're calling from.
Right.
And that has to be in the minutes.
That's after the,
It's
During roll call.
during roll call, okay.
We're talking about for the public.
During roll call. Yeah,
Okay. All right, so any members of the public,
Go ahead
and unmute and announce your name.
Melvin Ward, Harrisville.
Okay, anybody else?
Okay.
Will St. John.
Hello, Will.
Hello, Will.
Zoom. Hey, Mike.
I'm just waiting for you to let me in and then
Anyone else?
Anyone else?
Mary.
Dan O'Connor's here.
Oh, he is, okay.
Sorry.
Dan is in.
Dan O'Connor is,
Dan O'Connor is.
and then I see Mary Weber as well.
Dan O'Connor.
I see Mary Weber is all from the O'Connor Review.
Yeah, Yvette.
See that from them guys here.
And
Okay, so Yvette Smigelski.
Good morning.
Good morning, Yvette. Anybody else? Oh, Meg Rice just joined us. Hello,
Mike,
Meg.
we're getting a horrible audible connection from you.
Meg Rice. Meg's there.
Okay, so I think we have everybody logged in now. We are going to do, we haven't had public for a while, but we're going to have just a reminder,
we're going to do, we haven't had
comments.
public, we're going to have
and we want to keep it as school. And there should be no interaction between the board
comment is,
and
and,
I know that Bill's here.
Mike, can you call in?
in the board, there's.
Yeah,
Nobody can.
Mike, can you hear us?
yes.
Yeah,
Okay, your mic connection is really bad. The audio is really bad. It's
Okay.
like breaking up.
yeah. Yep, yes.
Let
We're
me-
getting every third word from you.
Okay, let me call in.
Call.
Let me, okay, let me call in.
How many for lunch?
Okay. You would just need to unmute yourself, Mike.
Yep. Is that better?
Yeah, is that better?
Much better.
All right. Okay, so as I was saying, this is the time for public comment.
Okay, so as I was saying, this is the
All
time
right,
for
I'm
public
still getting
comment.
major feedback, but
We're gonna limit it.
I'm going to turn my volume
Yes.
down so I
All
don't.
right, I'm still getting major feedback, but I'll
Okay.
just,
So
I'm gonna turn my volume down.
comment
so-
is limited to 3 minutes per speaker.
Okay,
Um,
so as
Also, we
per our
wanna keep
rules,
things
public
civil,
comment is
and
limited
there
to
should be no interaction
3 minutes
between board
per
members
speaker.
and public comment.
Also, we
So,
want to keep it
Who
civil,
is up
and
to
there-
speak?
should be no
I
interaction
know we
between board members
Sure.
and, public comment. So, who is up to speak? Right. I know we have a one, for sure.
I think that's it.
Mel, are you
I
wanting to
I would
speak?
like to go if possible.
Is that Mel?
Yes.
Mel, are you
Okay.
wanting to?
Go ahead.
I'd like to go possible. Is it,
Okay, there's a lag. I'm getting a lag from you, Mike.
Yeah.
I can't.
okay, yeah. No, go ahead.
Okay, am I
Okay,
good
there's a
to
lag.
speak
I'm getting a
now?
lag from you, Mike. I can't.
Am I good to speak now?
Okay, am I good to speak now?
Yep, go ahead.
The reason that I wanted to,
Okay,
and
Mike,
good morning
can you speak
to
now?
all the members of the board.
Yes, you're good to speak.
Okay, I'm,
The reason that
I
I
don't know if
wanted
you can hear
good
me or
morning
not.
to officers of the board is,
there's a big lag
Speaking, I hope
and
he's in here. There's a bit lag.
the reason that I wanted to speak to the board was I don't feel that the
But the reason that I went to speak to the board, but I don't,
the building and the facility that is being looked at does not benefit Alcona
building
County.
at a facility that is being looked at, that does not
Way too much
benefit
money,
Algona County.
and I don't know how the county can afford
Money, and I don't know how the county can afford the upkeep of the
there is
building.
no major
And there is no major housing shortage
in the county.
in the
I
town.
know it was mentioned that
I know it was in that,
with the base opening up, but that's,
with the opening up, but
that would bring younger people in.
that would bring younger people in.
But you can't mix the younger generation with the seniors. Because the seniors do not like that.
Seniors, because seniors
As
do
the
not-
seniors retire,
seniors
they want to go to
retire,
a quiet
they
environment,
go
and
to a quiet environment.
kids coming in playing tennis or
Kids
playing on the
coming in,
basketball court,
Playing or playing on basketball court,
they're not going to like it.
they're not gonna like it.
And the reason I know that is because I do
The reason I
manage.
know that is because I do manage
And,
the department.
I'm always being
And,
asked, well, how old
I'm
are the
always
new
being
people that are
asked,
coming in?
well, how old are the new people that are coming in?
I have 4 vacancies.
I
You
have
have 5.
4 vacancies.
I think the apartments in Harrisville has a
I
few
think that
vacancies.
in Harrisville has a few
There's
vacancies.
just no
There's
need for the county to
no
spend that
need
kind
for
of
money
money for the
to
upkeep.
spend that
So,
kind of money for the upkeep. So,
and then,
and,
you build a 3-story building apartment,
story,
then the fire department's gonna have to have a ladder truck.
the fire department's gonna have
Fire
to have a lot
department in
of truck.
Alcona County has one,
Fire, Algona County has one.
none that I'm aware of.
None that I'm
Costs
aware
for,
of.
I know Lincoln Village can't afford one. There's just too many cons. There's more cons to me than there is pros.
More cons to me than there is pros.
You know, and I'm not calling in here and
So, and
speaking
I'm
on behalf of
calling
the
here and
department
speaking
competent to the
on
hand.
behalf of the department.
It's my own personal
It's my
opinion.
own personal opinion.
I just
I just
cannot see, you know, and
cannot
it was the millage that was voted on and approved back in November
vote
was for
that.
seniors.
Which
When you
for
start building things for the kids, and I
Well,
don't
we
mean
can
that,
start
nothing bad about
things for the
kids,
kids, and I don't have
is
nothing for
it's
kids.
not senior money.
Is
I mean, you're
It's not
using
senior
senior
money.
money to do things for the, and that should be another organization that.
and that should be another
things.
organization would be supplying things like that.
You know, the
Okay,
thought
that was it.
process,
You know, the thought process.
That is his 3 minutes.
Yes. Yep,
Yeah.
3 minutes has expired.
Yeah, the 3 minutes has expired.
Thank you, Mel, for your comments.
Thank you all for your comments.
You're obviously welcome to stay for the
You're
entire
obviously
open
welcome to
meeting if
stay
you'd
for
like.
the entire open meeting if you'd like.
Lenny, I'm gonna ask
Oh, I don't-
you
Let
to
me ask you
mechanically
to
run the meeting because of
mechanically
this lag.
run the meeting because of this lag.
I'll step in if I
It's,
need
I'll
to.
step in if I need to.
Okay.
okay, I don't understand why they're having,
I don't understand why we're having a meeting. Oh my goodness.
unmute here. Thumbs up if you guys can hear me. Okay. So I am going to change a few things.
That should have canceled that. Yep. Okay. All right, can you guys hear us now? Good. Has the lag disappeared? It
Yes,
has.
it's much
Okay.
better.
All right. Give me one more second to get the board television under my authority, and then we can proceed with the meeting.
Am I still getting lag when I speak? Yep. Yep.
Everyone should be good now. All right, is that better? Did that take care of all the issues, everyone? Everyone on the call, you can hear us just fine? No more
Yep, it
audio
seems,
lag?
seems much better.
Okay, then that's how we're gonna run. Okay, perfect. Okay.
Able to run the
With no feedback and everything should be good for you. You have to unmute yourself, Mike.
That would help, wouldn't it? Are there any other public comments? Okay.
Hang on. Okay, that'd take you back.
Is that better?
Yeah.
All right. Are there any other public comments? Are there any? Okay, let's move along then. The approval of the January meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to read them?
Are you gonna approve the agenda?
Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes?
Okay, so you just need to get in there and add the agenda. Can you hear us, Mike?
I couldn't hear Dolores at all. I'm assuming that was Dolores speaking.
It's Kathleen.
Oh, okay. Okay. Did she have an addition or correction?
You have to add the minutes, the agenda, excuse me.
Okay, so let's add the agenda to the minutes. Are there any other corrections or additions? We need a second, or we need a motion to accept the minutes as amended.
You didn't approve the agenda.
Oh, well, that's not on the agenda yet. In fact, it's not on the agenda at all. Let's, all right, so we do need a motion to approve the agenda as amended with public comment.
I make a motion to approve the agenda as it is here with the addition of the public comment that we did have someone.
Okay, do we have a second? Was there a second? I couldn't hear.
Yes.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is carried. Okay, approval of the January meeting minutes. Do we have any additions or corrections to the minutes?
I have a question about the minutes. It states about the proposal, accept the proposal from Molnar for the feasibility study, but it does not include the total cost that we're committing this board to.
Lenny, would you like to address that?
The motion, and it must have a dollar amount.
Oh, 1 second here. it was, yes, it was 25,000. I believe the board.
On the last, meeting.
Right, that's what the minutes are for, yeah. So that addition, 25. Paragraph.
All right, I'm not sure what all that commotion was, but I couldn't hear. Did somebody have an addition besides the $25,000?
At this point, I'm ready to break
No?
$1,000 mailing list for our board meetings, because this is a little bit ridiculous what we have to try to do here that one device can do. Okay, now I know have everybody back in the room.
Deep breath.
Okay, so the amount of the proposal was $25,000 for the feasibility study to be paid for when we hit the benchmarks. So, you know, 5,000 for the initial. Phase 2 would be another 5,000, and then on the final phase would be the 10,000 for the totality of the project.
And then those comments have to be included on the minutes. The final copy. Right. I make a motion that we, we're not done yet with the minutes. Under the small business administration, it's in bold here. ACCOA has pre-approved to receive the $150,000 loan. Motion was made to accept the loan, designating Lenny Avery to sign the closing document. According to the bylaws, the president signs all documents for this board.
Well, can you back up a little bit? It says that I make a motion to include the following information in the meeting minutes. ACCOA has been approved, and then it interest for 30 years. Then it's dropped. And then it said Dan O'Connor made a motion. So shouldn't the motion I made have been approved or disapproved?
You made a motion, it's either voted on or it falls by the wayside.
And according to this, nothing was done. Am I right? Am I reading it right?
No,
I made a motion to include the following information, and then it was just plain dropped. And then Dan O'Connor made a motion.
Dolores, if you look under the bold where it says motion passes, underneath that in regular font, it says seconded by Roland, no discussion, motion carries. That was a second to your motion.
Well, then where was the second to Dan O'Connor's motion?
It says Roger Schulte seconded the motion.
Oh, I guess it's okay then. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not dropped. It has a colon there. And what
Right.
you're making the motion to allow is what ACCO did, what was in boldface. That's what you made a motion to allow.
But shouldn't
To add to
mine have been done before Dan O'Connor's?
Right.
Shouldn't mine have been
Right.
solved before Dan O'Connor?
Well,
That's right,
your
it should've.
motion was
No, it wasn't.
solved in
No,
the Schulte.
Yes.
There are two
Yes.
motions there.
Hold on,
There's two
hold on,
different-
folks. Time out. The Dolores's motion was to include the boldface stuff in the minute. That
Right.
was already voted on and taken care of. Dolores was simply moving to include it in the minutes. And then,
This particular,
her motion was seconded by Roland, no discussion, motion carried.
But shouldn't that have been up by mine before
No,
Dan
because-
O'Connor?
No,
because
because you had to include
I can't
the
hear two at a
language
time.
that you wanted. We had to include the language that you wanted added to the minutes, and it had to be put there for it to make any sense.
I guess.
Any other questions, additions, or corrections?
Further on in the minutes where Mary Kidd, it talks about her resigning. There's nothing about the motion that was made to accept her resignation, which should have been accepted first before a request was put on Facebook for new candidates. There's nothing in here about accepting her resignation.
I believe we did accept the resignation, but I don't.
All motions have to be in the minutes.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I'm just saying, I believe we did do that, but it just didn't make the minutes for some reason. Does anyone recall, or did we record the meeting?
The minute, it just didn't make it into the minutes. The motion was voted on, everybody approved it, so you guys did vote, it just didn't make the minutes.
But it has to make the minutes.
I understand that.
It's a record of what was done.
I understand that. We are still recording your minutes. However, you guys decided last time that one person from the board will be conducting your minutes. So right now we're putting stuff in. You know, our staff is doing this and listening to you as we're going to record minutes. But the board is responsible for making sure that all this gets recorded in there. So we can make an addendum or add this in for the board's review for the next meeting. I mean,
Well, the minutes have to be corrected to include that and identified. Because these are draft minutes. They should be identified as draft minutes. Until this board looks at everything and then makes the comments, and then they become final minutes. But the final minutes must contain the way it was written and the way it was corrected at the same time. So when it's done for final with red, preferably, that's when you put in the motion, because all motions have to be in here.
Then I leave it to, I guess, your board secretary to come up with your draft and change of the minutes for the next meeting.
Can we might make a motion today to accept her
Yeah,
resignation?
We already made the motion, but it's not in the minutes.
Yeah.
But these minutes have to be revised for the next meeting to include all the additions and
Okay.
corrections when you make the final motion.
So we don't need to,
No,
only Pam has
No,
to take care of that.
we just have to mention it.
All you have to do is just take what we have and then add those corrections. Have the correction section.
Okay, are we all clear?
I think, Mike, maybe Will St. John should have been included into persons wishing to address the board. I don't think he was included.
I asked if anyone else wanted to speak, but we can certainly.
That was public comment. We're talking about persons wishing to address the board,
Okay.
others with approved authorization. So that was different.
Yep. I was not aware that there was a pre-authorization, so we definitely can do that. Let's finish up this mess with the minutes first, and then we'll go back to Will.
Okay.
And also, the minutes should be signed by the secretary. And I looked on your website, and none of the previous minutes have been signed by anyone, and they're supposed to be.
Good.
Because according to the bylaws, the secretary, and eventually we're gonna get into that, because the secretary has certain duties. So the minutes should be signed.
You got a job, Pam.
Everybody on this board, if you're on this board, you have a job.
Not according to the bylaws.
Well,
Okay, so Pam, if you would.
I think there was something about a motion to, appoint some of us, I think, to the bylaws committee. And there is no bylaws committee. It's part of policies and procedures, I believe.
Well, it says to look at the bylaws. Is that the same
A
thing?
committee to be appointed to look at the bylaws.
Right, but there is no bylaw committee. The bylaws are reviewed by the policies and procedures committee. I believe that's what you call it.
Well, I
So
think
you don't
that's splitting
create-
hairs because it doesn't say that there was a committee, a bylaws committee. It
But
simply
this board
said-
does not have a bylaws committee.
Right.
Well, you guys drafted one. You put 3 people on there as according to the
Well,
last board
it should
meeting.
be a correction to the established
Yeah.
committees that you have, policies and procedures. Because those people, whoever they are the ones who review the bylaws and the other, I mean, they have a whole list of duties.
I would be happy, Kathy, to have you research that and put together.
Oh, I already have. The 3 of us, I already have a 9 or 10 page first draft of the bylaws, breaking them down and making them more concise and identified. I've also researched the law about what's missing in them, which needs to be in them, so my 3 cohorts will review it, and then we'll meet and discuss, and eventually when we get it done, we'll bring it to the board. But there's also a question because I've heard some things were changed because the comment was just made before the meeting is you didn't want an age requirement because you wanted younger people on the board. However, the articles of incorporation for this Council on Aging probably has a requirement in there for minimum age because the bylaw states candidates for the board are supposed to be nominated at the nutrition site. You cannot attend a nutrition site until you meet an age requirement, minimum age.
No, there is no age
No.
requirement. for
That we
this.
have
Yeah,
seen
that's
the
not
article.
That's-
Well, you have to see in the articles of incorporation, because if the articles do have a minimum, you have to stick with that. You cannot change your articles unless you do it legally.
I can get you a copy of the article, but the nutrition cycle, anyone
Right.
can have a meal. They just have to pay full price. So 18 years or older and up can be in our nutrition cycles.
Only
So
if it's in your
because of
article.
COVID, let me finish. Because of COVID-19, we haven't had any nutrition cycles as far as congregate meals. So the election that got you on the board as well as Mary Kidd went out through our home delivered meal nutrition program. That opened it up to everybody. We do not have Glenny. We do not have Greenbush sites. So the only way that we could meet that part of the board contingency is that to send that out through our home delivered meals. So as it is right now, we would not have anybody voting on any type of measures for any type of board member because we don't have any congregate meals at this time.
Right, but your bylaws are
we have
dated
drafted.
2018,
Mm-hmm.
well before COVID, and those have not been amended. And it says that you elect 9 members of this board, and you have members at large. So members at large who are not, quote, on this board, if there should be an age requirement, means that they cannot vote and they cannot sit in closed session. And that's what's on your website.
Well, that's a matter for why we are addressing the board bylaws at a later date. What we're discussing right now is approval of the board minutes. So we can always, that's why we didn't want to bring this to the full board, is why we have a subcommittee to address the board bylaws. And when the bylaws are addressed, and if there is a problem with those members who are seated, then we can address or amend those bylaws to encompass moving forward. But for right now, we just need to approve the board minutes so we can go down the agenda. So the subcommittee that you guys are on can continue to draft the new bylaws so we can continue to do what we're trying to get today. That's my understanding.
Well, that's pros and cons, but technically your bylaws are the legal obligation of this board, the way they stand now.
Right, and we had 30 days from the last time to get those drafts. So if we didn't have a draft right now, all we can do is go with what we already have on the record. And what we already have on the record and what this board has already approved, until those new rules come in and change it, we have to apply and run with the old rules.
Right, and that's basically what you're deviating from, unfortunately. But anyhow, the committee's working on it, and it's not gonna be a 30-day occasion at all. Okay,
Takes a lot of research and
that's right. a lot of writing and the legality, but we have to check the articles of incorporation because you cannot deviate from the articles because you jeopardize your 501c3 federal status.
Wonder if that hasn't happened already.
It might have.
Okay. It's back to you, Board President, Mr. Chairman. I believe you're muted still.
You're muted, Mike.
Like everybody is.
Who's the lady up in blue?
That's our nurse,
That's
our nurse
Meg.
consultant.
Oh, she's just sitting here in the corner.
Well, she does. This is her.
Mike, I can't hear you. You're gonna have to unmute yourself.
Okay, so we're gonna task Pam to correct the minutes, bring us a draft.
No, final.
It's not us. It's on his side.
It's on his side. You can see it.
Can everyone hear me? Yes. Okay. So then, Mike, it's on your side. You're still muted. I tried to unmute you several times. It's just not working. You just have to make sure that you're unmuted.
I'm unmuted.
For a moment.
So you need a motion to approve the minutes with correction.
Can
Okay, I apologize. Yes.
I don't
Hear you
know
now.
why, but Zoom keeps shutting itself down.
Just
Anyway,
try
so-
not to do any camera.
Yes.
Okay, so Pam, if you would make a draft of the corrected minutes from the January meeting, bring it to the March meeting for approval.
Right. I will prepare an appropriate set of minutes.
Okay,
To the
what
March
part did we miss?
Basically, it's going to be a final. She's going to,
I'm gonna do a final,
with the corrections that were brought to by the board, and then she will sign off on it once she presents the corrections to that minutes, and then they will sign and we will move on.
Correct.
okay.
Okay. Before I drop off again, let's go back now to
Poor Mike.
Technology, man. Like,
Gotta love it.
okay, before I drop off again, let's have Will St. John do a presentation.
Will, the floor is yours. I believe the president has addressed you and said that you can address the
Don't
board.
we have to make a motion to accept these minutes?
No,
With the
because,
corrections?
no,
Yeah, you do.
that's
Yeah, you
what we're doing.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, I think we do, with the corrections.
That's right. You make a motion, someone makes a motion to accept the minutes with the corrections identified, seconded,
Yeah.
and vote.
I think we do. I don't know.
And you just commit it after the fact. And
Well, if we can't accept them until it's fixed,
Then how can you,
how
because
can we make a motion to accept them?
the very last
Because we
meeting,
just-
With the corrections.
but last meeting you said that we can't do that. We have to bring, because we wanted to add it. That's the reason why the whole SBA loan thing is in there, because you said we couldn't correct it after the
because
fact.
you wanted to amend minutes from 6-7 months ago, and you can't do that. The next month, the minutes have to be approved with corrections. You cannot go back in time and change minutes after the board already approved them the following month with corrections.
Somebody make a motion, please.
I'll
Yeah.
make a motion to accept the minutes with corrections.
Second.
second it.
Any,
second it.
any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion's carried. And just as a technical rule, according to Robert's rules of order, to approve minutes, there does not need to be a motion. There just needs to be board approval. But just to satisfy everyone, we will.
Each of you
make a
would have
motion
gotten 9
to- Okay,
Robert's rule.
so Wilson, Ron, do you have a presentation you would like to make for the board?
Oh, sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Lenny invited me,
Will, go ahead.
here to. Yeah, he's talking,
Yeah,
but
we're lagging.
Yeah, we're lagging. Lenny invited me here to talk about, my joining the board. I, sent a letter in. I assume you people have all seen the letter that describes some of my background.
I didn't see it.
Oh, okay, well, I'll tell you. The letter basically describes the number of boards that I've been on over the years. Currently, I'm the board president of Inspiration ACCOA, which many of you are familiar with. I'm also on the Harrisville Arts Council board. For 6 years, I was on the library board for Alcona County Library. I was president or chairman, whatever the title is, for 3 of those years. Before I moved up north, I was on boards of the United Way, the distribution panels, ones who decided who would get money, that sort of thing. I also currently serve on the Michigan Council for Arts and Cultural Affairs distribution panels, which involves a trip to Lansing, except this year. So, and I've done that for 6 or 7 years now. I've lost track, but I'm a veteran there anyway. So I have a fairly extensive board experience. I think I know how to operate within a board and be helpful, and I know how to lose a vote. I know how to win a vote.
All that good stuff.
All those things. I'm interested in this board, partly because Inspiration ACCOA already works with the senior center, or we would be if it weren't for COVID. We would have kids in here doing art with the seniors. And we have opportunities to do more if we could. Inspiration ACCOA, for instance, would be happy to help with dance programs. I saw in the minutes that you talked about in the last year. So, but I assume we're not happening with COVID. But anyway, I'd like to, be in better touch that way. I'd like to learn something from this board about dealing with federal grants. Inspiration ACCOA really doesn't. We have a small pass-through through Mataka. The Council of Arts and Cultural Affairs passes through a small amount of federal money. But we don't really. We haven't done anything that actually requires really careful compliance with the federal rules. The things that we do are simple enough that we basically can't get in trouble as long as we don't slide a Rio with the money. So, I would love to be a part of creating this community center that we're talking about here, and it's a great goal. It'd be a wonderful thing if it can be done. Inspiration ACCOA would put an art gallery and an art classroom into the building. We would use that. We would arrange some sort of long-term lease and so forth for that. There's a possibility of some money from the Arts Council, the Michigan Arts Council, for some of the construction money. I'm fighting fighting with the director of that program about how much is appropriate, but at least they'll be at least we'll be eligible to get the equipment money if nothing else. I have two different stories, Lenny, from different people at the Arts Council about our eligibility. So I'm trying to sort that. If I sort really well, we could get a couple $100,000. So. That's our hope. Yeah. So, well, we could apply for a couple hundred. We could apply for 100,000 to be matched. Matched by 100. Yeah. And I looked at the rates. No one ever gets 100% of what they ask for. Too many applicants. But anyway, there's some money we would try to help. I have a couple of other schemes, Lenny, for finding some building dollars that I'll talk to you about later. Anyway, that's, I think, most of the story. I've been a resident in ACCOA County for 12 years now. Well, almost 13, so I'm only new-ish now, the shine has worn off. So, question?
No, you're a long time, so no.
Yeah, I know the board here, largely except for Roland, Big Eddie, are people I already know. So anyway, so you know, like them all be silent. Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
I just have a quick comment to add.
Yeah.
Will, I've known you, I think, for about 8 years now, and I just want to say that I think you're supremely qualified to serve this county in this regard, knowing what I do know about you. And so I fully support your candidacy to join our board.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Is this something we can decide today?
No, because we have we have another applicant.
Oh,
Could we have a copy of Wolf?
I would get it to you. I'll email it to you all on your board email. Okay.
can mine have in person? On paper? I want mine on paper.
Well, are we gonna make a decision today or we can't?
No, we can't because you have another person. Another person made it in on the wire. Their resume got lost online. We did manage to find it through our web developer. So they did forward that information to us. So we'll have that opportunity, and then right at this point, you guys can vote to appoint. We don't have to have a special election because it will be taking someone who's already voted, and they would just take that person's time.
Right.
So by next month, we'll know. or sooner, rather than later. Okay.
Awesome.
Alrighty.
Thank you, Will.
Yeah. Okay.
A special board meeting, is that what you asked?
No, you wouldn't have it. You wouldn't have to. We can get you the copies of their resumes. The board could email me their vote, and we could record it as such. You know, or the board president can take a vote. We can do a survey monkey. We can do it a whole bunch of digital ways. You don't have to physically show back up, or you can call us with your vote. All right.
Okay. All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you
I'll look forward to hearing from you. Thank you, Will. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Will.
very much.
Have a good day. Yep.
Okay, Lenny, because I keep cutting in and out and losing my connection, I think I may have solved the problem of losing the connection, but because of the audio issues, all of these reports are staff members anyway. So if you could get through all the reports for me, that would be great.
That's fine. Financial report. We'll start off with January balance sheets, and I believe that will be Tony.
Let me see. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I will try to keep this very short. So for January, our donations that came in was $5,848 for programs such as the in-home services and home delivered meals. We also got our January grant money from NEMSCA, which was almost 100% of what we had expected based off of the statement of grant award. The only difference was because the congregate meals obviously aren't up and running. That was not 100% award. So that was $10,802. So basically our income from those two sources was about $16,650. Not a lot. We're not getting a ton of donations flowing in as far as home services and home delivered meal program. So to offset some money, Lenny has been very diligent about getting grant money. We were awarded a grant. I didn't see it in our agenda meeting minutes. I don't know if you wanted it to talk about it next month. We got a check for $78,000 from the County of Alcona for the CARES grant award, or MEDC.
That's Michigan Economic Development Council.
And that $78,000 is being split up between the fuel costs for the home delivered meals program, food costs for home delivered meals and congregate, and a little bit of some of the in-home service wages. We also have been putting, as you can see in the financial reports, previous years, things such as communication, service contracts, utilities that were all put right to millage have been split up amongst the departments to catch a little bit of grant money. So we're seeing less coming off of the millage right away. And I think that's probably about all I have to talk about today.
I have a question, Tony. On page 3, down towards the bottom, it says telephone, cellular, whatever. When I did the route, they said that we don't have these cell phones anymore. Am I right, or?
Where are you at, Dolores?
On page 3?
Yes, we do have cellular devices. The tablets are all on a cellular plan. I have a cellular device. Leanne has a cellular device for in-home services. So there are cellular devices in the building.
There is still some. What about the meal drivers, though? They're the ones I'm talking about.
The meal drivers,
we didn't have them.
The meal drivers now have tablets that are on a cell phone plan because they're cell phone tablets.
Okay, so if I'm doing the route and I go to that person's house and they're laying on the floor and they need an ambulance, how do I get a hold of an ambulance, or how do I get a hold of you, or I don't have a cell phone?
The tablet has the ability to make a call out. However, it's not the primary source for making a reason why we have that. You would have to either use your personal device. We recommend that you use that person's home line because that would have that person's address versus them making a cell phone call. So that's our policy, is that you would use a landline. And if you can't use a landline, then you use your personal device.
And hope you get reception where you're at. North end of Hubbard Lake, I didn't get reception at all.
And why is this line item over 700% over budget?
What are you talking about in reference to?
Talking about the cellular, the thing. It said the percent over is 752%.
Because
and you budgeted 500 and you spent 3,100.
Because of the devices that we just recently added are one-off. They're not a normal thing. So when we added these devices for the in-home service program and our home delivered meal program. It was about $3,500. Now, those devices can be placed and be charged back to the programs in which they're being utilized, which is home delivered meals and in-home services.
So it looks like you've got quite a few line items that are hundreds and thousands over budget.
We have to be more specific,
Uh,
and I can answer your question.
okay, just above that, you've got,
What page are you on?
same one.
Page 3?
Yep, same three. It's supplies, building, 398% over. Then you have fringe service provider, 1,200% over. The next page, you got a couple others. 3,600% over. Maintenance Lincoln vehicle.
Those are all incidentals that we allocate a certain amount for the budget. If a vehicle, like for example, we had to pay $600 for repairs, that's not something that we can anticipate. So if we only allocate $250 for repairs or $500 for repairs, there's no way to know that we will meet or not, get those percentages. So if we allocated 200%, and then over the course of the year, we've had to repair the car 2 times, and that brings us over, let's say, $1,000. Well, yeah, you would be a few 100% over the top of those particular things. That's why when we include in your financial reports, you'll see what we spent those funds for, so that you would have time to review to see where those funds went in those particular line items.
And then there, one time there was the truck too.
Yep, we had to fix the truck as well.
Okay, and how often do you amend the budget to amend some of these line items?
The budget for us are set for the year. So we start at the beginning of the year and we allocate the budget, because I have to turn that budget in to
Basically, a budget is a work in progress. Don't you have to amend it periodically, at least quarterly?
That's not the condition of what we have the budget for. The condition of the budget is what we send to NEMSCA, and we operate off that budget for the remainder of the year. And then we reconcile monthly based off of these numbers. So that's how we have this moving, living organism called ACCOA. So we have money in, money out.
I guess that'd probably be a question for NEMSCA, as to whether or not the budget should be amended or not for these line items.
So
They wouldn't have.
internally, that would be a choice based upon your agency as far as how many times you want to see your internal budget amended. However, we normally request a budget at the beginning of the year, 6 months in, when we, on a normal basis, would get a full year allocation. This year, we've already had multiple statement of grant awards, but we normally do it at a 6 month, and we'll do it at year end. So we request it 3 times per year.
So you request updates 3 times a year to the budget?
Yes, in the beginning, previous to the year starting, 6 months in normally, and at year end.
And I guess you operate on a fiscal year, January calendar year?
No.
Nope,
September,
October
1 to September 30.
So then you've already got into your 6 months. 5, 6, yeah,
March, that'll be March.
March.
We
Okay.
right now are only receiving statement of grant awards 1 month at a time due to the government. So we've been requesting only, again, at the beginning, we haven't requested one yet because normally it'll be at March 31st when we normally would get a full year budget at that point. I can't say for sure what will happen this year.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Any other questions? Okay, moving along. Next report is Commissioner's report, since Mr. Thompson is not on the call. After that, we have the NIMSCA. We got to fix that, Jesse, on the board minutes to it reflects I know you're listening. So for the next board agenda, let's fix the NIMSCO report, and that will be for Yvette. Yvette, the floor is yours, ma'am.
Okay, I don't have too many updates as we just discussed. Right now, we currently only have an SGA until the end of February. Hoping to get the next one this week. I do know you have a request in that we are looking into, and we will get back to you soon on that, Lenny. I believe you spoke with Lori earlier this week regarding the in-home service shopping and also the transportation.
Right. You broke up a little bit, so yes, we are requesting to increase programs and services through waiver, and that's through transportation. And what was the other one, Yvette? You said?
The shopping.
Okay, yeah, the shopping program.
And that's all, unless you have questions for me.
Anyone else have questions for Yvette? No. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is in-home services report by Leanne, our in-home service coordinator.
Hi, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So in-home services, again, January has seen another dip. Homemaking hours is down 191 quarter hours. Assisted hours is down to 26, and personal care is at 98. That's the one that took the least amount of hit. Our struggle is illness. A couple of staff members that have been out almost a month, and getting new staff members in. We've had the job posted. We've had a couple of job interviews that we thought were hopeful, and people just are not accepting our offers, or they just either don't show up to the interview or they don't return phone calls to even try for an interview. So
hey, Leanne,
why don't you just come in here?
Leanne, your audio is not doing well. Can you present this report inside the boardroom, please?
What?
We can't make out your audio. Can you present this report inside, please? The boardroom. Thank you. The reason why, because we have so many people and it's in an enclosed surface. Yeah.
Guess we can't breathe.
Well, technically the door's supposed to be open, but everybody else is on the call listening for their turn, so you're going to get some feedback.
Oh. We were pretty quiet.
Well,
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Much better.
Can you hear me now? So what I was saying is January has seen another dip. Homemaking was down to about 191 and a quarter hours. Personal care down to 26, respite down to 98, although respite is the one that has taken the least amount of hit. But where our struggle is right now is with staff. We've had a couple of staff that have been out sick for almost a month. So we're battling that. We had the job posted on Indeed and on Facebook, and either people do not answer their phone to set up an interview, or they set up an interview and don't show up for the interview, or they show up for the interview but they don't accept our offer. So we are struggling right now. I have 5 staff members that are currently working in some capacity, but we definitely need more. So that's where we're struggling right now.
Had you said you had one new staffer?
I have one new, yeah, she just started last week or middle of the week before. So she's very new. But I have one staff member that I'm currently waiting to hear back to today to see if she'll be able to be released for work again. And I have another one that's, again, like, I think she's at the doctor's like every other day. She's got some stuff going on. You know, they're good staff members and we want them here, but current struggles are preventing that. So
Any questions for Leanne?
Thank you.
Thanks, you guys. Nice seeing you.
Okay, next up is the food services report from Julie. Julie, can you come in and do that report? I don't know if she's on the call or not. Let me see if I can retrieve
Hello.
Hi, Julie.
No problem. Okay, our yearly budget, or my yearly budget is $55,200. So far this fiscal year, I've spent $14,056.39. That's as of the end of January. Which gives me a remaining budget for the rest of the year of $40,433.61. My monthly budget is $4,600. In January, I spent $3,238.13, which left a balance of $1,361.87. In January, I sent out 1,249 hot meals, 641 frozen meals, 412 sack lunches, and we started up the congregate drive-through near the end of the month, and we did 21 of those. So total meals for January we sent out was 2,323, and we put 771 meals in the freezer for emergencies and the frozen meals for home delivered. For the fiscal year so far, I've done 5,373 hot meals, 3,232 frozen, 1,702 sack lunches for total meals of 10,307.
Any questions for Julie in the financial report? And Julie, we are, just to confirm, I know I said we had not had congregate meals. We are doing congregate meal drive-through, correct?
Right, we're doing the congregate drive-through, and I've been averaging 4 a day. You know, sometimes higher, sometimes lower. We've had a couple days where nobody had wanted it, but it's like call by 10 o'clock in the morning if you want it.
You want it?
Some people have told me for the whole month what they want, so.
And those individuals that don't are offered home delivered meals
Right.
as a sheltered in place option.
Yep. Is there any word on when we can have congregate again?
What's up with ACCOA, and that's the Services for Adult and Aging Service Administration. And they will give us guidelines on when they feel that it's safe to once again reopen for congregate meals.
Well, the schools is open now for the sports games and stuff, so I would think that we should be able to open pretty quick too.
Well,
Hopefully.
we're waiting for, we will be
Yeah,
waiting
it'd be
on
nice.
ACCOA.
We have to wait. Yeah, it's a lot easier for us to have congregate meals for Julie's sake. But we have to wait for them to give us the go ahead.
Yeah, so right now we're just doing what we can and getting out as many meals as we can in hopes of, you know, opening back up again soon.
I have heard a lot of compliments on your meals lately.
Good.
She met with the Spice Girls yesterday.
Yes, we had Spice Girl meeting yesterday.
Oh, that's fun.
One of my Gordon's rep brought down a lady from Trade East, which is where I get most of my spices through Gordon. And she came down and talked to us and stuff and gave us some samples of some different spices that I hadn't been using. You know, I've been using some of their blends, but she just brought down some different ones and showed us, you know, what they would be good with and things. So, you know, we'll be getting going on some of those, you know, as the meals
But
are
I wanted you to
appropriate.
know that. I've heard like 3 times this past month.
Good. We're working on it. We're you know.
Well, I think think it's really hard with what's going on,
Right.
you know, to get the things out properly and everything.
Yeah.
Our food service department has been rocking it out. of the
I
park.
know, it's amazing. I think you guys do a fabulous job.
So,
We keep working at it. Some days are harder than others, but it's in any job, but you know, we're working it out. So, any other questions?
can you send Shauna in?
Okay.
Good work. She is good.
Okay.
Next would be our transportation report from Shauna.
Wow.
We're gonna hit the ground running. We're gonna try to get out of here by noon.
No, I was just looking at 1,600 miles.
Hi, everybody. Nice to see everyone here. Okay. So for the month of January, we did 1,600 miles. That is private as well as when we do DHS. For personal private, it was $483.80 for our private pay.
How much?
$483.20.
Here it says 459. Am I looking at the wrong page?
No, you're looking at the right page. She just got more since she typed it out.
That's probably what it was.
And then roughly for DHS was $713. And so altogether, for the month of January, it may not seem like much, but we did 25 hours on the road.
On your second page here, Shauna, it says you went 829 miles. Where would you go for that many miles?
We go, if you think about our whole transportation department.
Well, was this one person or one time, or is that total?
That's total.
Oh,
We may end up going to Ann Arbor. We may go to Saginaw. We had
and do you do it?
I fill in if need be. Yes, I step in and I take the wheel and I drive.
Now, like when it says you went 829 miles, what vehicle do you use? The great big one or the?
Nope, that can be both vehicles combined together. We have the Jeep and we have the van.
So one day
This
you
goes
take
into a
whatever.
program through the Verizon, and I can actually track and log every single, from the minute these vehicles leave to the minute they come back, it tracks every single mile.
We can even watch the person as they drive actually on satellite.
Eventually, I want to get inside cameras. Then I can really stop them. But no, I can actually, and I'm still, it's kind of little hiccups here and there. But the more I'm getting familiar with the Verizon, I can actually go in and tell if there's excessive idle. If you're sitting there idling for an hour, why are you idling for an hour? We drop our clients off, we wait in the parking lot. But I can track every single, so I can actually run a cost analysis. What is it really costing me to run these vehicles? What do I need to do better to not waste fuel, not, just idly sit by and twiddle our thumbs?
Is some of these miles, the pop-up pantry?
No. This is just strictly non-emergency transportation.
I don't think the food bank truck moves too awful much.
Once a month,
Well,
or once or twice a month. And into the pantries that we do.
yeah. Once, I think last month I had to go to, Harrisville to get stuff twice.
And then you go to Glenny for the pop-up pantry?
From my understanding, they got their own trucks, so we don't have to go there anymore.
Yep.
So basically what you are looking at is just the transportation department.
Just transport.
Just transport. It has nothing to do with the meal trucks or the pantry trucks.
I have a question about the big truck. Does anybody ever say anything to you about the engine light being on all the time?
The engine light,
You talking about the food pantry trucks?
Right,
Uh,
that should be, checked also. Because, not, a couple weeks ago, my engine light came on in my car. I took it out and had it checked, and it, Cadillac, the converter, and a couple other things. But if that light stays on and something else happens, the mechanic cannot, diagnose it. Thank you.
Well, we can get it in there and get it diagnosed and check it out. Any more questions for Shauna for the NEMT program, non-emergency medical transportation program?
No, thank you.
Is Paul here, or did you guys leave?
he's here.
Can you send Paul to talk about?
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Nice
ma'am.
seeing everyone.
Yep.
Yeah, nice seeing you. Was it?
Morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Morning.
Mine will be short, but I created a flyer and I'll pass it along unless you guys have it already. It's like, yeah, so, I'll just say some of the areas that I started advertising for the day center. Had an interview with WBKB. I sent the flyer to the health clinic, the district health department, sent a hard copy of the flyer to the home delivered meals. In our newsletter, it's on our Facebook now, and I've reached out to Alpena News and Alcona Review as well. Also talked to Roscommon, the Serenity Day Lodge, and they are open now too, and they only have one person currently. So things are a little bit slow, I think, with COVID. A lot of people are still fearful of that. Now our fitness classes, I don't know if you see the flyer of that. That's going quite well. We're getting a little bit, the word of mouth is going around, and we're getting a few more classes, not a few more individuals attending the classes. I think we had within the last week 3 or 4 new people attending some of the different classes. So that seems to be going well. I don't know if you've had a tour, Lenny's given you a tour upstairs, but things have changed up there too. So if you get a chance, take a look upstairs. It's looking pretty nice. We have 2 treadmills that are working. We have a couple of televisions up on the wall. We have exercise balls up there, weights, exercise bikes. But so if you get a chance, take a look before you leave. That'd be great. But if you know of anybody that's interested in fitness classes, please have them call me or have them call Jan Klein, who's on the flyer as well. Any questions?
Do we charge by the hour for somebody to come in and who takes care of them out there?
In the day center?
Yeah.
I will be there, and then also there's a couple people here that until we get more people, there's a few people here that can help me out if I need a break. Right. So
Do we charge by the hour or by the day? Or?
It is based on income, so it will be a different charge. It's like a sliding scale. So it's different for each individual.
That's for the day center on a sliding scale?
Yes.
And what's the charge for the fitness classes?
The fitness classes?
Yes.
Those are on a donation basis. We have a donation donation box up there. I just recently opened the box and we had quite a bit of donations. Now I put a sign up there just this past week that specifically for the fitness classes. So anything that's donated in the future will be for the donation fitness classes.
Is our daycare any age or is it just seniors?
No, it will be for individuals 18 and up.
18 then.
Anything else? So if anybody knows of anybody that you can send a flyer to, please do. If you know of any individuals that could use the help. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so, it's not on here, and I don't want to surprise you, but I'll give you a little bit about, the Food Bank of Lincoln report. We recently had a pop-up pantry. There was some issues as far as the logistics of the ARA site, and them not wanting to deliver there because they were fearful that their semi truck would get stuck. So, I just got to say kudos to our volunteers. They unloaded an entire semi truck upstairs and without any complaints, broke it all down, put it on the back of a U-Haul truck, brought it all the way back to the ARA site, unloaded the U-Haul truck and got it ready to distribute to the public with no complaints. Debbie has put together an amazing team of volunteers that have been with us since literally this thing happened back in March 14th of last year. And they have been going strong for almost a calendar year. And these are unpaid volunteers. Like these are people that don't get paid. So my thoughts and my prayers and just my thanks are to these individuals who have given up their time consistently for weeks and months. So thank you to the food bank. You will be getting a detailed report after our audit next month, but I can tell you preliminary estimates is somewhere in the neighborhood of about $1.6 million of in-kind services. That's food going in, food going out, that we were able to deliver and give to our community. So that's an amazing amount of 1.2, so $1,231,839. The Food Bank of Lincoln was able to give out to the community over this past fiscal. So kudos and bravo, considering this program did not exist until we started it this past fiscal year. Okay, so with the director's report, I got a couple of things in there. I'm going to be jumping a little bit. I'm going to streamline my report to make it go by as fast as possible.
Can I ask a quick question on the volunteer stuff? When we, like a year ago, 2 years ago, when we come in and volunteer, we signed a sheet to get, to say that we volunteered, and it helped towards the NEMSCA, something with NEMSCA. Couldn't we do that for the pop-up pantry and get credit for volunteer hours?
I don't know what you're referring to. I don't know what program NEMSCA had at that particular time. So I don't know what that was. Is that, do you know what she's talking about or referencing?
I think I do. What, Deb has papers over there,
Right.
volunteers. And that.
Yeah.
I know.
Now, I don't know what she does with them afterwards, but they should be turned in for that purpose that
Yeah.
you're talking about.
Yeah, so the ACCOA can get credit for volunteer hours.
Right.
We credit volunteer hours to who? Who are we getting credit for?
Well, I don't know if I'm saying it right, but a long time ago, NEMSCA would give us this handful of money, but said we need volunteers for this hand. And we had turned in our volunteer hours to NEMSCA. And we got credit for volunteer hours. I wondered if.
I would have to get with Yvette and work and figure out what that program is. And then we can start doing it. We have the data and the information, so we can get with that. So,
We was doing it,
Yeah.
right up to
Well,
even a year ago, we were doing it.
need to ask Debbie what she does with those volunteer sheets.
Okay. So this is where we're at. I'm gonna give you guys some preliminary numbers. The lost connection, but it doesn't really matter. I don't understand why we keep losing connections, but I want to give you guys preliminary numbers. Can you guys still hear me on Zoom here? Yes? Okay,
Yes.
I'm just gonna keep rolling. Okay, so our total preliminary numbers is that from fiscal year 2020, we brought in an estimate of 290, well, not an estimate, the exact number of $291,692 in grants and total of awards. Of that number, $195,275.21 was NIMSCA. So the reason why we do these reports and we are monitoring, last year in fiscal 2019, NIMSCA paid us 24% of expenses. Okay? This number right here is 40%, roughly almost 41%. So we've seen an increase because of our cost allocation plan. We didn't have a robust cost allocation plan, so we missed out on some of the reimbursements that NIMSCA would have done. Since then, we've gone up to 40%. Now, this is not the total number. This is fiscal 2020. Okay? So this number will be different in fiscal 2021. Okay? So that means the balance of this leaves us $96,416.79. That is grants that I applied for in this past fiscal. It does not include PPP loan. It doesn't include any of the other stuff. These are straight up grants that I wrote that we brought into the programs for other services and things that we're doing. Okay? Doesn't account for donations. This is just straight grants. This number will be different come fiscal 2021. As our financial person reported, we got $78,000 from the MEDC grant. That will go into 2021 numbers. Okay? So I wanted to kind of start with this is we need to talk about what I want to talk about under the director's report is revenue streams. Our current revenue streams are donations, grants, and millage. Okay? These two areas, this area right here is a locked area. We're going to know where we get variable because we have a locked rate for a particular amount of time. This has some hard, it's not like in concrete, but more like a hard putty because we know what our grant awards are from our funder like NIMSCA, but they may vary because of what's given to them. And it also varies because of what grants we apply for. This right here is where we need to talk about today, is donations, okay? We have to work as a board to really address the donation. We need to come up with a robust capital funding campaign that will give us additional funds for programs that we need in-home or in-house so that we're not relying on just 2 out of those 3 funding sources. Okay? Because the service portion of that is we do not require individuals to pay for services. It is based off a donation, and we do not terminate services for people's inability to pay. So there are people that do pay, and there are a lot of people that do not pay. So that requires us to fall back on millage. Okay? I would definitely like for us to work on our fundraising and capital donation so that we can decrease or not need as much in millage, but increase our revenue source. So in your book, I think I did this. If not, I will make you a copy. I wanted to talk to you because you guys have had me go through a leadership training program that talks about the importance of fundraising. Now, what has been told to this board before is that we're not allowed to track donations. That is not 100% true. We're not allowed to shame individuals for their inability to pay, and we're not allowed to show individuals what their contribution rates are unless they ask per request. We can keep a donor list. We can solicit donations from corporations, solicit donations from private individuals to go towards our general fund or go towards special projects. So I want to give you guys a copy of a sample of how these donations can be tracked and a copy of a potential donation letter. We have a fundraising committee. However, it doesn't meet, and I don't know who's on it. What I propose to this board is that we will partner you with one of my employees to work as a liaison, and the fundraising committee will develop a capital plan for the rest of the year that is responsible for the remaining of the board to be a part of that campaign. So let's say, for example, I'm throwing this out. That doesn't mean that we're having this. For example, if we did a bowling event, okay, and we said that we wanted to raise money at a bowling event charity, and we charged $25 for people to be a part of bowling team. We then could raise that money for whatever services or programs that we're trying to do, and that money would be earmarked for that particular program. The board then would be responsible for fulfilling an obligation to that top capital plan. So if our target was $5,000, then the board would be responsible for getting and raising $5,000 along with ACCOA. Everybody understand how that's going? Yes, no, maybe so?
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Take one, pass it to Stan. Take one, pass it to Lord. So, this is another email or another thing that I put together. So on that sheet right there that you're looking at, it has 3 Excel categories that basically show you how the funds can be tracked. So we have in column 1, the number, like say this is for like a donor gift table. So on the left, you have the number of gifts needed, the gifts levels, the total needed, the prospects of needed, the names of the donors who committed, the total gifts, the total pledges, and then that's how that can be tracked in a capital campaign event. Okay? The reason why I say capital campaign, because we're trying to raise money for our general funds. All right? Now they can be specialized. So like say, for example, we can do a fundraiser. Case in point, we did a fundraiser through the Food Bank of Lincoln for coats, for winter coats. We saw that through what we had been working with our partners in the community, that there was a need for coats and jackets and boots at the school. We were able to raise over $3,500 for this program, and then we bought the boots and gave those to the schools and those particular families that we identified. So that's how we have that. The next is the case for support outline. This is how you would construct a giving support letter. Did I pull that on the table already? Where did that go? Oh, there they are. They're all in my hand. That's why I can't find them. I apologize. So this is how you would structure a support letter. Do we know who's on our fundraising committee?
I've got it at home, but it's not in the book.
So this is a breakdown of how you would construct a letter. So you would have the organization name, talking about our history, you know, how do we accomplish our mission? You would give, you know, those kind of points. And it basically shows you how to put together a funding support letter that we can send to the community and say, this is a need. I can tell you that the numbers that I was able to put on that board up there are not standard. We got a lot of money because the feds pumped in trillions of dollars into the states for COVID-19. This is the COVID-19 benefit. Save the NIMSCA numbers, you know, they might have gotten a little bit extra cash too, but for the most part, this is due to COVID-19. So this is not going to be a standard, you know, every year that we can expect, you know, $200,000 in revenue. Okay, to get the board going, I propose our first, oops, I wanted more than one copy. Now, you can have a time to take this and review it. It's not, the fundraising campaign does not start until the 1st of March. The Food Bank of Eastern Michigan, which is one of our partners that we partner with to get all of our food out of Flint, they bring this food up for us. And I propose to this board that we get our fundraising committee started. We meet and we discuss this particular program, which is March Against Hunger, which is you are selling boot prints and getting donations for these boot prints to address hunger in our community. And then there is a matching portion of that through the Food Bank of Eastern Michigan. So money we raise, they match, and they help us with our food bank. Okay? So I would suggest that we take an opportunity to take a look at this. And if we don't know who the fundraising committee is, perhaps we should maybe create a new committee going forward, since we had new executive officers elected last month, that we take a look at this and sit down with the fundraising committee. And this is an easy challenge because it doesn't have an end dollar amount. We're not saying we need $10,000. This is, you can raise money and then we would match it. So this would be an opportunity for the board to explore these options.
And it's a 2-month, March and April, so that's good.
Right. So you would have all the way down to April. Which brings me to my next suggestion to the board. Some boards, I've done some of the research, some boards require their board members to donate to their agencies that they sit on. There have been several agencies that have done that, that require their board members to donate. I think we could work to where we ask our board to fundraise. So this would be a board that consisting of raising capital and raising revenue. So my hope is that we could either add this to the bylaws or add this as a condition starting next year, or even work to this year. I think we can have a target. I think we have about 6 months left in the year. I think it might not be too much out of the realm of possibilities, is that we strive to raise $10,000 in our general fund as a board. Now, you're not going to be doing this by yourselves. You'll have help along the way. But if I can raise $96,416 in grants, I think the board could raise in general donations for specific programs. I think with a well thought out capital campaign, we could bring money in. This community is very gracious. This community is very giving. We've had some people that have given us a $600 check and said, put it towards some place that's going to make a difference in your program. We had somebody donate their entire stimulus check. I know that there's very gracious and generous people in this community. They don't know the need. We know the need. And if we can help them identify the need, you know, that would be great. We raised $3,500 for our Coach Warm Hearts, Warm Coats campaign in under 10 days. So that's what I wanted to bring to the board. So I'll stop there, let you guys have the discussion. on that part before we move to my next thing on the agenda.
I'll go.
So they, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna, Lenny, a couple of the boards I'm on here on Pine specifically, you know, they do, it is very important for when they go out to seek donors, you know, additional donors for projects that they have, that they're able to safely say that the board, a couple different facets, that the board are donors to that particular cause as well. And there's no layer to that or expectation or level or anything, but you had mentioned the board being, you know, a donor, you know, that's definitely something that when you go to larger entities and say, would you be willing to donate to this? That's something that goes a long way sometimes when you're trying to elicit, you know, maybe a more significant donation from a large donor. You know, in terms of the board, you know, trying to shoot for a goal of 10,000 or whatever target that the board might set. Are you thinking, like, I guess my experiences are when you say to the general fund, people are more leery about that, you know, and just like, you know, wondering where some of those funds go. But if you hone it in on like coats, like you talked about, or a different targeted project, people are more apt to support those type of causes, knowing exactly the type of program that they're going to. So those are just some of my thoughts, I guess, as I'm processing, you know, the request.
Absolutely. And I'm glad you brought that point up, because I would much rather get donations for specific projects. You know, let's say, for example, one of the identifiers that we were looking at as a possible capital funder would be the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation. They want to know in their questionnaire and answer, does our board donate? Are all the board members donators to it, to our cause? You know, so those are the things that I've kind of wanted to try to put out there, because, you know, as we start to try to move towards getting a larger facility, getting money from the feds, we have to kind of show that, you know, this is a part of our culture. And that's what I want to try to start. But absolutely, I agree that working to do or get donations for specific projects would be better than saying just be a donor. We can see if individuals want to continue to be a donor. They can do monthly charitable contribution for, you know, our programs. But I want to be able to give them the option to be a supporter. So could we at least select a fundraising committee?
Well, the president after election was supposed to fill all the positions according to your bylaws. And your comment about the board, technically this is a volunteer board, so everybody here is donating an enormous amount of their personal time to further this organization. So I would say that that's, considering how many members on this board, I mean, that's a substantial investment in time. And I guess I would like to see what your job description entails, because technically this board decides what it wants to do, how it's going to operate, instead of you giving us assignments. I mean, it's the other way around. You're this board's employee.
I understand that, Miss Kathleen.
You know, to say that, you know, and people here, you know, might be of limited means, so asking them to donate money is almost like pushing someone's arm.
I never asked you to donate any money.
No, but that's the way you're saying.
No, I said that we could raise money as a fund, as a board. See, the
board will encourage you to have those kinds of programs, but I don't think it's really this board's duty to do all the grunt work. We're supposed to make sure that the services of this organization comply with the funds that it receives, this millage and taxpayer dollars and federal dollars, make sure everything's on the up and up. We're a layer of like an arm's length later to make sure everything here is working properly.
But those are different aspects of our organization. We have that aspect, but there's a other mission that we try to adhere to. This is what we're contracted through the county to provide services, but we still have a mission that was created by Ms. Charbonneau, back in 1973, but this agency started together, had a vision of what they wanted for this community. I am saying this is covered by 2 to 3 of the funding sources. I'm saying that there's another way we can help a different section of this community by raising funds for special projects. We can champion certain things and issues in our community by raising funds for that. Now, with regards to what you were talking about, as far as my job description and mission, my very first thing when I was hired was to bring additional funding and revenue streams to ACCOA.
Right.
This is one, which is donations from the general public. I'm doing my duty. I'm doing my job by pointing to this board that we are lacking behind every other 501c3 because we are not hitting the fund streams that are out there, which is through donations and support raising.
And I can understand that, but you're also talking about one of the poorest counties in the state of Michigan.
But it's also it's also people that are very generous.
Right.
There are
But
people that
it's in your job description to do these things, and we support you and provide you with the tools if you need staff or you need more money for papers or postage or something. But I don't think it's this board's job to do all that grunt work.
And with regard to your volunteering hours for the board, as standard volunteer rates, as for the United States and federal rates, volunteer hours is paid at about $25 in in-kind service. If we count it board time, I can count 5 board members that go a little bit above and beyond for as far as pop-up pantry and some of our other special events. You can count that time. So if we were to do an in-kind contribution and say, I'm going to tally how many hours you were here, we would see monthly. But like I said, what our mission is, and what I said at the beginning, is for us not to do that. Not to say, you've given $500 of your time, but this person's given $5,000. We're just trying to say, as an organization, can we all just agree to try to raise the revenues of our donation? I never suggested that it should be a requirement that you personally have to give anything. I think
Like that, though.
I said as a group that we should probably have a goal to raise funds per board member, or as a group. We have these committees.
I guess I would have to see what the articles of incorporation say about what the purpose of this board, because you can't keep changing the mission to suit things. Now, in your bylaws, it says that it's a non-sectarian whose purpose is to do these things. So if that's in the articles of incorporation, that's what we do. If you as an employee of this board want to do additional things with the people that work here, we as a board would support you and make sure you have the help if possible to do it. But the board's the top layer.
I'm going to interject for just a second because I've sat on multiple boards, as I'm sure Kathleen has. I have never been on a board ever that didn't have the board members actively involved in raising funds. It was not on the board. And that includes volunteer hours. You know, there's, I can count 3 or 4 of us that are at every single food giveaway, you know, busting our butts. That counts. We should be reaching out to the community. That doesn't mean we're forced to. It doesn't mean we have a requirement of bringing in X amount of dollars. It just means that as a board, we should be, I mean, people are going to look at the board and say, why should we give money if the board just sits on their butts once a month and goes to a meeting? They need to see us actively involved in the community, whether that's volunteering for the senior center, whether it's out talking about the millage when we have a millage, whether it's out actually raising funds. Lenny is already stretched thin as far as fundraising. We have to step up to the plate as well if we really truly care about the mission of this organization. That's my 2 cents worth. I don't think it needs to be in the bylaws that we're forced to fundraise. I just think it's the right thing to do.
why doesn't, Mike appoint a committee to check into some fundraising then? And see what, we've had fundraisers here. Stan and Ron can back me up on this. We've had a lot of fundraisers. We don't make any money, very little money, if any, on our meals. We had a flea market. Then we've had 2 or 3 flea markets. We just, the only money we really made was on that quilt, and I took it to fairs, I took it to this fair, I took it to 4th of July, we made $700. I mean, it's not as easy as you might think to put on a fundraiser. It's difficult.
And that's why I suggested meeting with someone with our staff, having a fundraising committee, and I've also have a meeting next week with a fundraising specialist, somebody who specializes with fundraising. She taught this class that I sat in, and she's willing to meet with us talking about fundraising. Another option is that, I tried to look, Dolores, you have a further memory than what I can find on paper, is being like going to that craft show, in Harrisville. That's huge. Now, I don't know if they're going to have it. Hopefully they have it this year. They didn't have it last year because of COVID-19, but those shows are huge. Even if we got together and had donations from the community to sell for us to raise money, that's something there's ways to gin up opportunities in this community. And yes, by the numbers, we are the 5th poorest, but if you start pulling out some of these communities within Alcona County, we're actually the top 5 in the county. Is that we have abject poverties in a few pockets of Alcona County that bring us back down to the lower 5. So I think that there are people in this community who want to be generous. We have people that come in our food bank lines that we never even suggest that they have to pay, but people give $20 and $50. We have people in our food lines that have never been in our food lines before, because we recognize these families. We've been doing it for over 30 weeks, and we've had new individuals. The school has addressed issues and need for new individuals. So I know you guys know where I stand. My heart is there. It's up to you guys. But if the bylaws, Mike, if you're the ones that can set the committee for the fundraising committee, then I would. We just need to fill out these committees. If you can do it now or do it later. I just brought this to the board's attention.
Yep, I will. My intention was to keep the committees as they were, but then adding in Kathleen and whoever we vote on to the board to replace Mary into various committees. So that was that's not going to work. So we'll, I would ask for volunteers. I'm not just going to strong arm somebody into a fundraising committee, but I would ask for volunteers. We need 3. I would be a non-voting member as the board president. So we would need 3 folks to step up and volunteer to do the fundraising committee, understanding that the fundraising committee is not the one that's supposed to do all the heavy lifting. We have to do it together as a board.
I will help.
Was that Kathleen?
No, Dolores.
Oh, that was Dolores. Okay. I can't see with all the masks and everything. I can't see who's talking. All right. So we got Dolores. Anybody else? I don't want to have to voluntold anybody.
Stan is our second. And
okay,
this is turning into the scene from the 13th Warrior. I don't know if I should just clap and start making some Celtic noises. And Rollin, we have 3.
Okay, so the fundraising committee will be Dolores, Roland, and Stan. Please let me know when you decide to meet so that I can be a part of the meeting as an ex officio member. I will appoint the other committees moving forward once we know who our other board member is going to be.
Perfect.
Can you have more than the 3? Can the new guy help be on it?
Not on the committee, because then that would constitute a quorum, which would make it a required public meeting.
Oh.
Okay. Thank you guys for resolving that particular thing. Thank you so much. I want to go over two things we had stated in the board minutes, but it is in your packet under professional service agreement that was agreed upon by Larry Molnar, that the board agreed. It is all broken down. It has been shot through our attorney, and he had a chance to go through with that. And it's basically, as a budget not to exceed 25,000. That's the final page. First project, 5,000 would be the project launch. Completion of task 1 and 2 and 2B would be another 5,000. Completion of tasks of 2C and task 3 would be 5,000, with the final completion of the submission for the final feasibility research study would be the final 10,000 of what is full. Okay.
Who's the attorney that reviewed this?
Dave Cook.
He didn't provide any comments?
He just reviewed it and basically said that if we're okay with the
It looks good, go for it.
with the subject of work.
Because usually in the past, when, on the organizations I've been in, he gives usually a letter or an email confirming it so that you have something in your record if there's a lawsuit or a violation or something or complaint. You can say the attorney looked at it.
Lenny, if you could just contact Dave Cook and have him send you an email stating that he looked at it and that the language looks appropriate to him.
Yep, that sounds fine. I will do that. I have an email. I have an email from him, but not an official letter. So we'll get that as well.
Are you going to complete the fill in the blank?
Yes, I'm going to complete the contract. I wanted to bring it to the board's attention before the contract was completed. Okay.
I have some questions on that.
Okay.
This is a new building we're talking, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, for the apartment buildings, is that going to be seniors only, or is that going to be families?
We're going to let our project manager give us the best way I can explain it. I'm going to take it to the board here so that we can have an understanding. I need a dry erase that works. All right. So that we have a viable understanding of our project. Our project is going to go in 3 phases. So phase 1. Phase 1 is going to be housing. Okay, our first phase is going to be the housing phase. MISTA, a Michigan Housing Service and Development Agency, has a certain scoring that they score every project out of. So they basically have a cost for doing this, which I will eventually bring to the board, of $6,500. That's the cost for a MISTA feasibility study. Okay, so MISTA does a feasibility study for $6,500, and they determine whether or not a project in your area is going to work according to that. Then they give you a list of requirements of what the property has to have. Then there's a 96-page dossier that sits on my desk that talks about scoring for the project. So let's say, for example, senior housing is going to score us a 97%. Family housing is going to score us 82%. What would the complex look like? Where would we submit?
Senior housing, obviously, yeah.
Okay, so what we are looking at is we cannot have a mix of both. They don't do that. It's either one or the other. Okay, so if those numbers are flipped or reversed, doesn't mean that seniors can't get a part of this complex. It just wouldn't just have an age bracket. It wouldn't say 65 and up. It would just be for family housing. Or if it's more inclined for senior housing, it would say 65 and up or 60 and up, depending on what VISTA guidelines states in the scoring. The reason for that is they want to make sure that there's no vacant units. They want to make sure. Now, I'm on camera, so I'm trying to figure out the best way to say this. Regardless of someone who owns or manages a property in this community, senior housing continues to be a national issue, especially in rural areas. And you can take it for what it is, that someone representing a rival housing complex is not in support of a new complex. We are just saying, based on the numbers that we have already initiated in these programs, because I had the calendar year of working with these people, that there is a need in Oconee County for housing. So that will determine based off of scores.
We have to wait and find out.
Right. So Larry Molnar is in charge of phases 2 and 3. Which brings us to phase number 1. Phase number 1 is, I emailed everyone to their board email about a week ago because these are quite sizable documents, but I'm going to have to probably pop staples and
I didn't bring it, but I just read it.
right. So who doesn't have a copy?
I don't have one.
It would have been sent, like I said, to your board email.
Yeah. I didn't get it open till yesterday. I opened it and read it, but I didn't print it. Is that,
Right.
does that count as a copy? I think it does, doesn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Well, unless you have a really big, a lot of copies.
Yeah, Mr. Ward brought up one thing that, because
Here, you
it's
saying
gonna be three stories high.
Yeah.
So the fire breaks out, we don't have a big enough ladder to get people out.
no, but I don't think that it.
we've addressed that with our engineering pool. Right. Because here's some of the things that they're not privy to that we are privy to. That, let's say, for example, we have the structure here.
Right.
Okay, that's our housing structure. What we are going to be looking at doing is building a well, a water well that a fire engine can plug in and hook in. Okay.
They're good.
Then we're going to have an underground reservoir or a sprinkler system, because we know, because we've already had the meeting with the supervisor about the fire issues. This is what these people do for a living. Okay.
Kind of took care of it.
So they basically said, okay, we're going to either have an underground reservoir that's going to have water in the water table that will serve as a sprinkler system for this particular unit, as well as having wells that fire trucks can plug in and put in. Okay? Now, this may be something that we can talk to the county about. How do we raise money if this is something that we have to do? I'm hoping that we can have these conversations as the project continues to grow. I can tell you right now, with all confidence, that housing timetable is going to be 6 to 12 months, submitting in October 1 of this year. This is how quick this is going to happen. And it's our goal that we get funded in phase 1, use the phase 1 funding to leverage phase 2 and 3.
Is any of this gonna be on a ballot? So the Alcona County Commission, Alcona County people can say, yes, we want this, or no, we don't want it.
Okay, here's about the ballot initiatives. Ballot initiatives are basically for villages,
It's only for bringing money in.
proposals, and other things that takes that from the public. People have emailed me, tons of organizations have said, would you be interested? Could we have an art gallery? Sure, Will. Yeah. What would you need? Well, the kids really could use an art gallery with a classroom. Okay, how do we do that? Well, are there grants that I can sit down and help you write? Yes, there's Macaca. So let's sit down and let's figure out how do we bring you into the building. So the community has individuals, but the general public, we can go through once we get ready for phase 2 and 3. We can have meetings to the public. They can ask questions and give us their feedback. But hopefully, we're not going to ask for or put a proposal on the ballot. That is not my primary goal. Our primary goal is to hopefully get grants. If we can get, let's say for example, if we did $1,000 per unit, and we're proposing 45 units, that would be somewhere in the neighborhood of $45,000 a month, which would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about 560-ish thousand a year. If we had to get a loan for the remaining $15 million of this project from USDA, because I've already thought about that as an option, it would net us or require us to pay somewhere in the neighborhood of $465,000 a year to pay back the loan. Well, look at the two.
Okay, I have a question. You're talking about that 465,000 to pay, what kind of funds are you gonna use to pay that?
The 56, that's why it's $1,600 for the,
What we generate in revenue for the people in the housing complex.
And the people in that housing is gonna pay $1,000 a month to live there?
well,
Okay, we're getting way ahead of the program.
But it's something you have to think about, don't you?
But there's a
turns
part
out-
of MISTA, there's a part of thing. Let's say if our market value of the apartment units that we're proposing has a market value of $1,000, and this is a low income project, MISTA has dollars that will cover the remaining balance. So if the person can only pay $285, then the state of Michigan will pay the remainder. That's how it works.
But will they?
well, yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because they would
It
attach
happens
the
all the time.
voucher.
That's what the 8th Street Apartments, all of those other places do.
And the way this program works is that they say, how many of those units are going to be for Section 8 or low-income vouchers? I would say 45.
That's right.
So then they would attach 45 vouchers to the project.
Okay, now my other question is the mission, you keep talking about the mission. The mission of this organization is to further programs for seniors.
Right.
Not for art galleries, not for all this other stuff.
Right.
So how can you combine our mission for seniors with all of this other?
Because we are striving to be multi-generational. We are trying to
That
plug.
sounds good, but you might not get money on that.
I'm explaining is that we are trying to tie our seniors with our young people, our seniors with our adults in our community by being multi-generational, by putting together programs that bring in a senior who's a college educated or highly educated person that can tutor a child in the group, or someone who has a business understanding or business acumen to help in a business incubator, or a senior who might be a painter who can offer art classes. This is how all of these things tie in, because we are a community and everybody is not isolated. We've done isolation and we've only gotten, few $100,000 of operating budgets by taxing our community, and we've only been able to provide a handful of services. Within this year, we've tackled 9 different programs, had an increase in revenue, and we've gotten a lot of good press or a good feedback from the community about all the things that we're doing. If we didn't do a food bank, which is not a part of our mission, $1.2 million worth of food wouldn't have gone out to our community.
Right, and on top of that, Lenny, to say that an art gallery
Than the
benefit
$1.2 million. How many dollars worth of having seniors participating as volunteers, how much is that worth to a senior? Instead of being locked up in their home by themselves. I mean, that's huge.
Feeling
you
useful
know?
again.
That's just big and that's just gigantic,
Well, I'm thinking too, we've got, on your plan here, you've got tennis courts. We've got a tennis court right here in Lincoln. Nobody ever uses it. We got another one in Harrisville. I don't think very few use it. We've
have
got
two
a
in
weight room
Harrisville.
on here. The school has got all this stuff.
But the school
So
is
why
not
do we
open,
have to have it?
because the school is not really set up to open to the public.
It's open to the kids, and the kids is the ones that's gonna use that.
Well, some
No,
of it.
not true. That we have other people in our community who use it. That Flights of Imagination playground was built 45 years ago. Did the research. It is not maintained because we don't have a park and recreation millage. So it's not maintained. We got money from capital donations and there's no millage to keep it up. The reason why Parks and Alpena look great because they have a park and recreation millage. So
Well, can we take taxpayer money that seniors is paying their taxes for Elkhorn County Commission on Aging, not Elkhorn County kids? It's supposed to come for senior money. How can we?
where are we taking senior money and applying it to where?
This is.
Right.
Well, this is, well, what about a weight room? What about a tennis court? What about the farmer's
Hold on.
market? We got that right up here too.
Well,
I'm
Let me
just
interject.
thinking that instead of the weight room and the art room and the tennis courts and everything, wouldn't it make more sense to put that money into a new truck that we're definitely gonna need before long?
Well,
And maybe garages to store these trucks?
Let me interject for a minute.
one thing that
The-
happened.
Hang on, Mike. The TV went out, so we can't hear you. So I hear you trying to talk. Hang on, let me get back to the casting here. I apologize that we lost you.
You also lost Mary Weber. She has no sound at all.
Of course, there would be a problem. I'm going to take you and myself off of mute. So it's going to be very low.
Yep.
Okay, go ahead, Mike.
Okay, what I want to say in regards to this is we are not proposing here to use any of the millage money for this. This is coming from grants and possibly loans. The revenue will be self-generating. To say that an art gallery or tennis courts don't benefit seniors is to say that seniors can't play tennis and can't enjoy art. It's cultural opportunities that right now are not available unless you want to drive to Arts in the Loft in Alpena to look at an art gallery. This would be for local artists as well. And seniors are very talented. They can paint, they can display their work in this, and it helps keep their minds active. So it can help with things like Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. Same thing with the tennis courts. Those can help seniors stay physically active and stay healthy. The other tennis courts are not well maintained. If you go look at them, there's like Lenny had mentioned at a previous meeting, there's no nets hardly. There's grass growing up. They're just not maintained. So all of these things benefit. Everything that we're looking at doing here benefits seniors in some way, whether it's an opportunity to volunteer, whether it's an opportunity to make use of the tennis courts or basketball courts, or to interact with local artists or to do local art. All of these things do benefit our seniors.
The remote for this TV, I wanted to turn it off and turn it back on, but I don't know what happened to it.
I think that might be Mary that just came back in.
Yeah, she's back in. I just let her back in.
Okay, Mary, if you could private message me just to let me know that you're actually getting sound now.
Okay. So I think it's okay. No. Okay, so then that brings us to phase one. I said, Larry Molnar, we got control for phase 2 and phase 3. This is going to be a 6-month process with the Molnar, with Larry Molnar, and doing our phase 2 and phase 3. So it brings us to phase 1. Phase 1 is, I left copies over there. Phase 1 is with the Ethos project. Ethos is a development partner that has come on board. Who didn't have one? George, you didn't have one. Ethos, their company out of downstate, out of Detroit area, or downstate area, that works with major development plans. They specialize in getting these kind of projects done. They are very good at what they do. They just completed and closed on a $50 million equestrian project in Detroit. And I got a chance to meet with Joe Heapy about this. And he has a team. Now, he has agreed very graciously to drop all of their fees, especially upfront fees. Now, let me explain this. This is not guaranteed because funding is never guaranteed, but as part of the submission, you can recoup all the fees that we submitted up until this time into the project. So every dime that we spent for our architecture, every dime that we spent for Mr. Heapy, every dime that we spent for Mr. Molnar can go back into the program and can be reimbursed to us. All we're doing is serving as the agitator to try to get these grants and these loans. So Mr. Heapy and the Ethos Company has offered us an agreement for consulting services. I've also submitted that to our attorney. So I will have to get official letters for the board to consider, but I would hope that you had a chance to review that so we can agree. Mr. Heapy is the linchpin for getting the housing portion completed. That's what they specialize in. They're a real estate developer. I'll make you a copy.
Did you want your copy then?
No, I have mine digitized. I'll make you a copy of the agreement so you can also review the agreement, those that did not have their copy with them.
I did look up, I don't need it, because I already.
Who needs a copy of the agreement to review? Okay.
I need one too.
Okay, so I will clear NG3. Well, you may have my copy, sir.
I think one thing that people forget too is that each group of people that we set up something for, like parks and recreation and that sort of thing, there are places that they actually give us money toward producing these things, if that is included in these projects. We have to understand that too, because that makes a huge difference to me about what we can and can't do.
Right. And I want to address something that was said earlier today too, about why are we taking care of non-seniors. We have a program called Kinship Program. And the Kinship Program, and Yvette can attest to this, is paid for by grant dollars and ACCOA. That helps grandparents who are taking care of younger kids. Those kids are school-age kids, 18 years and under. So there it is. Again, a program in-house that we are helping individuals who are 18 years and under, who are now under the wards of grandparents or seniors in our community. Everything that we do touches or impacts the lives of other people in this community. You know, we have for years have kind of considered ourselves senior only. As we can see that we can work and we can get connected for everybody.
I have one more question, make sure I understand this. We are not going to ask Alcona County people their opinion on this building then?
I did not say that. I said once we get to phase 2 and phase 3, then that would be the community aspect portion.
To get their opinion.
Uh-huh.
And remember, they are not going to pay anything for that.
Well, that brings up another thing. Let's say we get this great big building 10 years down the road. Are we going to have to go to the Alcona County people and say, we need this much money for heating this building and this building here? Now something happened here, we got to fix all the plumbing. We're going to have to go to the people and ask for money, ask for more millage are they gonna say, well, you didn't ask us on the first one, why are we gonna support it now?
Well, here's the thing about that, Dolores. I believe in fighting the fighter that we're in the ring with. I can't look down the scorecard at 5 to 10 years and say this might be something that may not happen. What we're fighting right now is the opponent in the ring, which is getting it. If we're complaining or if we're talking about funding and we've gotten $26 million infused into our little community, I'm dancing down the street for the next 10 years because that's an amazing boom. So, so that's all I'm saying, because now we're going to be drawing other people from other communities. You think ACCOA doesn't come to the Chris Mart? You think that, I know I go to Alpena all the time. I spend my dollars in Alpena all the time. You think other people from Mayo and Fairview and ACCOA and Asanique and all these other places are not going to come to what we put here in Alcona County? No, that's going to be a boon for our community. So ethos development, if everybody had a chance to review it, we would just need an approval from the board to proceed with the contract for the development for the housing. That has a price tag of $25,000, very similar to Mr. Molnar's proposal. And it also breaks down, 15,000, I apologize.
I was like, wait.
It's 15,000. And then there's basically 3 separate positions that would have to go. So the retainer contract, the preparation for MISHDA, and the submission of market study requests.
Okay, first of all, I don't think we can make any kind of decision until we see what Dave Cook says about this, the contract, the agreement. And then second of all, according to the current bylaws, the board president has to sign all contracts, not the executive director.
My suggestion would be that we can talk about a motion now, but it would be that the motion would have to include the wording that pending formal approval by our attorney, that we could move forward. I don't mind signing the contracts. If that's what the bylaws state, that's fine. But I would agree with Kathleen on this point, and that is that we need to have in the wording of the motion that it would be pending formal approval by Dave Cook or our attorney, however you want to word it.
So then if we authorize you to sign this, what happens if Dave Cook comes back and says that there's so many holes in here that we're not protected?
He's probably already seen it.
Well, that's why I said that the motion has to include the language that it would be the approval of me signing anything would be pending formal approval by Dave Cook.
Right. I'm going to make a motion that we, after verifying formally with Dave Cook, that we would sign this Ethos Development Partners contract. When I read
Okay,
it.
we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, we need a roll call vote, please.
Dan?
Aye.
Dolores?
I'm not gonna vote, 'cause I don't understand it. No,
I don't think you cannot.
No.
you can't.
You can't, just, you listen to it, the argument, you participate, if you don't like it, say no. But you have to vote.
Well, I'm gonna say no.
Okay. Roland?
No.
Kathleen?
No.
Dan?
Yes.
Stephanie, are you still there?
No, she had to leave.
Oh, okay. Okay. And I say yes, obviously. Mike?
Do we need me to vote for a tie or, well, it's a roll call. I'll vote yes.
Okay. No, we didn't. 1, 2. 4. Okay, we have 4 yeses, and 2 noes. Stephanie's not here.
This is not an official submission, but I do my due diligence. This is an email from Mr. Cook stating that he reviewed both of these documents, so that I will ask them to type up a formal letter of approval when I can get in contact with them after the board meeting and submit this to the board.
Looks like he only approved, Milner's thing at 25,000.
Right.
The other one's 15.
The other one is, like I said, I have an email to him. We are in the process. I just sent him another email. I will get that typed out.
Okay, so we have a 4-2 approval of the motion.
Yes.
All right.
That's all I have for the director's report.
Thank you, Lenny. Let's move on to committees. I know did any of the other committees meet besides the bylaw committee that Kathleen already talked about? You can report further if you'd like, Kathleen, or.
No, I just gave the 2 other members,
We did not meet.
Yeah, they did not meet.
They did not meet.
Okay.
I know it was recorded earlier in statements that they met, but they had not met.
Kathleen has worked on the bylaws, but we have not met, nor have we gone over them.
Okay. All right. Any other committee reports? Okay. Old business. Madam Secretary, do we have any old business?
No, not that I am aware of.
Okay.
I have, and I don't know if it's old business. Whatever come of our closed session last month. I can't ask, can I or can I?
It isn't, what's said in closed session should not be brought up in open session.
It isn't. Yeah, you have to.
Can we go into closed session so that we know what happened?
You're supposed to have minutes.
We have closed session on the end of the agenda.
Oh, okay.
Okay, if we have new business, I have a new business. It was brought, one of the groups that meet in the senior center has requested to continue to meet. They want to meet on Wednesdays from like 1 to 4. And they said that they have between 10 and 15 members. So right now the lower building is closed to the public, but the fitness area upstairs is open to the public. So we would need to, they are okay with wearing a mask, but the board needs to decide if we're going to be opening up, because once we in for a penny, we in for a pound, because then other groups can request access to the building as well.
What are the guidelines from the health department regarding number of people in a space that size, and so obviously social distancing and all of that sort of thing?
Fortunately, we have 2 different areas of thought when it comes to that. So if we did it based off of current occupancy, it could be 25% of occupancy, because our common spaces also double as our offices. That also puts us kind of right square in the middle of everything as well.
Would they be meeting upstairs?
We could offer them to meet upstairs at, from 1 to 4. They would have to set up their own tables and break it down. So that might be a concession, since we're already allowing people to meet upstairs.
I think that would be the only way we could do it, is have them meet upstairs, because we've already made that decision.
Are they going to have food?
I believe that's what they do, the potluck.
So if they're going to have food up there, why can't we have food down here?
Because we follow ACCOA guidelines.
So we should follow up for that too, though, shouldn't we?
But that's not an ACCOA
They're
program.
bringing their food.
They're bringing their food.
I know.
It's not them, it's not Julie cooking food for them.
Right. That's completely
That's a whole
different guideline.
different thing.
So it's up to you guys. Y'all can make the decision, state that we can stay closed and we'll follow ACCOA guidelines for any and all things. Then that's fine.
What's your discussion, board?
I think if we're gonna have food up there, we could have food down here. If we're not gonna allow it down here, we shouldn't allow it up there either. I don't know,
Well, what I think is we're setting a precedent by having the exercise group up there.
but they don't
We
have
don't,
food.
we don't really, it doesn't really matter whether or not they have food. I don't think the food is an issue. Because we
I don't know.
cannot, we're not gonna go up there and eat with them.
And we're not gonna cook the food for them either.
No, I mean, it's a totally different thing. Our precedent is we're allowing exercise to go on. So do we also allow this group to meet? I mean, that's the precedent. The precedent isn't whether or not they're gonna eat.
And because this is not a meeting that is sanctioned, if you will, by the ACCOA, we're just allowing them to use our space. I don't know that it has to follow ASA guidelines.
No, it doesn't.
In this case, would we be written, building out the upstairs?
We would, I wouldn't charge these nice old ladies, but you know, it's ASA programs, our ASA guidelines because they pay for the program. So think of it that way. So if ASA pays for it, ASA has the rules to tell us what to do with it. And that's through our congregate meal program. As far as the building use, that's something that's in the purview of the board.
By the way, Mary Weber has lost audio again. I'm not sure what's going on.
It says that, and it's on.
Well, what are you thinking, Dolores?
I'm thinking no. I think if we're not gonna allow it down here, we shouldn't allow it upstairs. That's my
Well,
opinion. So
Why,
I don't know.
why, if we don't allow it down here, why not allow it?
I know, I understand all that, but I still feel that, that's my opinion, but, you know, whatever. If I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted, so be it, but I just, that's my opinion, if we can't let them come down here, and other people come down here to eat, why should we allow 10 people up there to eat? Well, whatever, I mean, if I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted, but that's my opinion.
It's on the record. What's the difference? Okay, you can.
Well, that's what I say. If I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted, but that's my opinion.
I'd say,
Don't have a motion.
Oh, well, I'll make a motion that we're not gonna, use.
And then,
Do we have a motion, Lenny? The sound keeps cutting out on me.
yes, we do have a motion. A motion currently is on the table to allow.
The knitting group or the crafting group to meet and use the upstairs area.
Okay, do we have a second?
Stan seconded it.
Okay, any discussion?
Or any further discussion, right?
Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay?
Nay. Nay.
Is that one or two nays?
That is two nays from Kathleen and Dolores.
Okay, so we have again a 4-2 vote.
Yes, if you're voting, yes.
Well,
Yes.
And Dan
Oh,
O'Connor voted.
Dan, I haven't heard from Dan.
Dan said yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay, motion carries. Any other new business that anyone needs to bring up?
I do not.
All right, board, any other new business from you? Hearing and seeing none, I would accept a motion to enter into, to adjourn the public meeting, enter into a closed door session, and then reconvene the public meeting after.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to go into closed session.
At 12:35.
to discuss personnel, is that what I say?
I don't know. What is it? Oh, the,
What we discussed last time at the last meeting. I think
Okay.
it's personnel, staff, something.
no, wasn't it the lawsuit? Pardon? Wasn't it the lawsuit? You have to say what it is. Lawsuit, yeah. Status of the lawsuit? Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do we have a second?
I'll second it. We
Okay.
have, do you want to wait for Roland to come back?
Yes.
To record a vote or no?
Well, we need to vote. Yes, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on going into closed session? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion carries. The public meeting is temporarily adjourned and we are in closed session. Mary, so we are done with closed session. We need a motion to close or adjourn the closed session and reconvene the open session.
I'll make a motion to adjourn closed session and return.
That was
To
from
open
the,
session?
Yep.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Stan
Any
second.
any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. Motion is carried. We are now back in open session.
At 12:41 PM.
Yes. Okay, is there any other business to address?
Nope.
Hearing and seeing none, I would accept a motion to adjourn the meeting.
I'll make a motion.
During the meeting.
I'll second it.
That's the first time a motion has gotten almost unanimous approval before we've even voted. Okay, so it's been properly moved and supported. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay.
Yay. Oh. Say yes.
I know, right?
This meeting is adjourned at 12:42. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
And we will have to work on the technical issues.
Well, I can purchase another device, a device that could get our meeting, but it's about $1,000.
I think the big problem is that everybody on the planet is on the internet right now.
Exactly. Everybody on the planet. We have the highest speed that we can give us.